It is 10 o'clock on the nose. I'd like to try to start if we could, just to make sure that we're on everyone's timeline here. So welcome everyone to Retirement Options 101, and we're going to start going through. Okay, so for starters, my name is James Kelly. I am the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for Brio Living Services. And so what I wanted to share with you today is just a little bit about some retirement options that seniors have that not everyone understands. One of the things I'd like to say to you real quick is why am I, keep saying this morning, why am I qualified to be here to talk to you about this today? Well, the truth is I have been working in what we call senior living for 32, almost 33 years now, I guess. I started out working for a consulting company that built retirement communities all across the country, only for not-for-profit organizations. And we also managed organizations, helped organizations with finance, and also operations and all those types of things as well. So I've been around the block. I was a consultant before I took the job at Brio Living Services 8 years ago. And so I've worked with hundreds of retirement communities across the country. I'm on the national speaker circuit and have been for quite some time. So what I like to do here is talk to you a little bit about just kind of the knowledge that I've picked up over time. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So next, just a little bit of housekeeping items here. First one is the program is being recorded. And that is so it will be sent to you and you can share it with your friends or your family or whatever it may be. So if they wanted to hear about this, they could as well. There is a Q&A button that you'll see. It's usually on the bottom of your screen. And you'll be able to click that and you'll be able to ask questions as we go through. So I really entice you to use that button, not just to ask questions, but for any color commentary you may have. I'm also always looking at feedback. I look at feedback as a gift, not a curse. And so even when we do tours or come to presentations or even an online virtual seminar like this, any feedback is very, very helpful. And I'm always open to that. So I hope we get some. So the next piece is when we start looking at options, most people don't even know where to start. And that really turns into the big issue of analysis paralysis. A lot of people stop and say, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to go. I am a salesman, right? And so you go, well, salesmen have bad reputations of talking you into doing things. And I don't want to be talked into doing something. I want to do what I want to do. And so one of the things that we really try to do at Brio is we try to become a resource for folks. What most people don't know is Brio is the 4th largest not-for-profit organization in the state of Michigan. We are the 2nd largest senior living provider, so retirement community services or communities in the state of Michigan. So we're quite large and we have a big footprint. But one of the things that we have always tried to do is not be as self-serving as we could be, I guess. And with that becomes the concept of becoming a resource. So when people come to us, we talk to people about how maybe we can help them, but also maybe how we cannot help them. And maybe if someone is better off going somewhere else, that we tell them that. The joke that I like to tell is that if we talk you into moving in, we're going to see you every day. If you're unhappy, we're going to see you every day. And so we want to make sure that we are right-sizing folks. We want to make sure that folks are happy about the decisions that they make. And we want to make sure that people are truly loving where they live and thriving versus surviving in their homes. And this is definitely a mission of the organization and myself personally. So when we talk about where to start, we got to break it down into 2 significant pieces. One is home and community-based services. So that is kind of like, how do you stay home, right? And then the other one is residential living. Now, what's interesting is these are similar and different at the same time. And so we're going to walk through these and talk about this a little bit. The first one is, I can tell you, I hear this all the time. In my career, I have heard people say, not ready yet, don't want to do that. One of the things that I would challenge you on is, what does not ready yet or not want that mean? What I have learned in my career is that a lot of it is based on a lack of knowledge of what this really means. So if you were to move to a continuing care retirement community, or any retirement community really, do you think that it's the home? Do you think that you would lose independence? Those types of things. And some people honestly just say, James, look, I love the concept. It's just not for me. And I get that. I actually have some empirical data that tells me that I get that. And that is, out of the age and income qualified Americans. So you means that you are over 70 years old and you have the financial means to move into a retirement community. Only 6% choose to move to a retirement community. And 6% is a high number. In some markets, it's 4%. So what do the other 94% of the seniors do? They stay home. Now, there's nothing wrong with staying home. Our organization actually believes in staying home, as well as moving to retirement communities. And that's why we offer multiple services to try to help people stay home. And we're going to go through this a little bit here. So if you want to stay home, you have options. If you don't want to move to a retirement community, you could stay in your own house. And there's a lot of other things that you could do. So let's go through this a little bit. So when you want to stay home, you have community options, you have home care, PACE programs, hospice, and continuing care at home programs. Now, many of you may not understand what this means. So community options is really the fact that you would have senior centers and other places that you'd be able to go to that would help keep you stimulated and socially engaged. Those pieces are very important. Being socially engaged is one of the top things that keep seniors' minds sharp. I can tell you, my grandparents stayed home and watched TV all day long. And I could see how their lives would be changed if they lived in a retirement community. I could see my grandfather telling stories and whatever it may be. So what was interesting, and what I didn't know, is my grandfather and my grandmother did go to the senior center. And they did have fun at the senior center, but they never really talked about it. So I wasn't really sure what they did. And so the other thing that they did, as well as you could do, is have home care. And being proactive in home care, of understanding who you would want to use and start vetting companies now, is a really good option. It's the same concept as, if something happened to you today and you had to move to a retirement community, the question is, where would you go? And why did you choose that community? Oftentimes it is in a crisis situation. It is the doctor saying, you need to move to assisted living, or you were in the hospital and say, I'm sorry, but you can't go home. You need to have a place to go, or you need to have care provided at your home. Who is going to do that? And who's going to set it up? How much does it cost? And what company are you going to use? All of those things are extremely important. A PACE program is a program that is specifically designed for technically Medicaid eligible seniors that also are skilled nursing eligible, that don't want to move into a skilled nursing unit. The state actually pays an organization to make sure that they get their medications, they get doctor's visits, they get therapy, they get meals, they get all kinds of things there that help them stay in their homes. But the only issue is, you have to be Medicaid eligible. And most people that we talk to in situations like this are not Medicaid eligible. But those programs are out there. And actually, our organization is one of the programs that are trying to talk to the government about allowing people just like you to attend PACE programs and be able to pay for it. So that way you would be able to get all of those services as well, even though you're not on Medicaid. Another one is hospice care or palliative care. If something ever does happen, it's important that you understand what hospice is. Trying to find a hospice organization without needing hospice, that can be a little strange. That's okay, but it's very important to do the research to figure out what hospice is. Hospice is end of life care, that if you have a disease or just aging or whatever it may be, and you are at the end of life, that these companies come in and they are specifically trained to work with you through that situation. And I can tell you that they are wonderful organizations. Love, love, love the hospice organizations. And then there's continuing care at home programs. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Porter Hills, who's on this webinar as well, Porter Hills Village specifically has a at-home program. And it means that we would provide kind of continuing care retirement community services in your home. And one of the big factors here is protecting your assets against the cost of long-term care. So if you're interested in something like this, where you can get retirement community services in your home, that's definitely also something else you'd want to look into, because it would give you the ability to not just stay home, but also the peace of mind of knowing if any of these things happened, if you ever needed home care, if you ever needed some hospice services, if you ever needed meals or anything like that, it's all taken care of through that program. Sorry, folks. All right, we're going to go to the next slide. Excuse me one second. Okay. I made eggs this morning. I put some hot sauce on there, a little spicy, and I think it's still getting me. Sorry about that. Here's a good question for Q&A. Does anybody put hot sauce on their eggs? Well, let's see if we get any answers. All right, so some community options. Area Agency on Aging is definitely a resource for you to be able to go through. They talk to you about what other options are out there. We talked about senior centers, opportunities for socialization, fitness, and wellness. Some offer transportation. On the east side of the state in Washtenaw County, there's the WAVE, which is the Western Washtenaw County Transportation System. And then also a connection for local resources. Meals on Wheels is another one that really helps out a lot. So home care, there's two different types. This is really important for you. One is certified. So Porter Hills actually has, Porter Hills has a certified home care. This is physical therapy, occupational therapy, therapists, nurses, that kind of care. It is covered by insurance, but also it is prescribed by a doctor as well. You can't just call and say, hey, I would like to have these services. Now you could, but you'd be paying out of pocket for it. Most people choose to use their insurance for it, which means their doctor would prescribe it. Non-certified is more what the home care is that you're probably traditionally aware of. And that's people that are helping you cook, clean, take care of your medications, help you dressing, bathing, personal hygiene, those kinds of things. You do pay out of pocket for that. It's typically 4-hour minimums. It is one person that comes. And so these are some of the things that they help with as well. So if you want to stay home, that's why you would do that. Here's that PACE program. All of these services are all included in the PACE program. Basically, you have to be 55 and older, live in a service area, and meet the criteria, which is Medicaid eligible and skilled nursing eligible. There's a fine line there between heavy assisted living and skilled nursing, but still kind of the same thing. And so all of these services are all brought into either your home, or you come to the day center and you would receive these services. So we talk about hospice, we talk about comfort care, reducing stress. Often it is complex situations, so someone to walk you through those. And then there is the physical and psychological relief that comes along with it. And so is it paid for by your insurance or paid for by Medicare, Medicaid? Depends on your situations and things like that. But hospice care, again, is something that you're going to want to look into to understand what it means when you get it and how it works. So continuing care at home programs, the focus really here is health and wellness. It is living longer, healthier. Now, interestingly enough, the reason it's called a continuing care at home program is that's what we call retirement communities, are continuing care retirement communities. And that's where you have independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing all on one campus. But basically the premise of a continuing care retirement community, just like continuing care at home, is to keep people as independent as long as they can. So it is keeping mind sharp, keeping healthy dieting, healthy activities through socialization, and also through health and wellness. You do have care coordination, you have a care navigator. All of these roles help you figure out where you are on your journey, or at this stage in your life. And how do you say, I would like to gain more balance in my life. I would like to lose some weight. I hear that I should eat more protein and less carbohydrates. Why? What does that do for me? They help you with a lot of these things, but they help you really remain more independent. So a couple of things that we actually work with here from what we just talked about. We have the Avenues program, that's the at-home program. Emmanuel Hospice, we're a partial owner of that. Emmanuel Hospice is a wonderful organization. Didn't tell you in the beginning, we're a not-for-profit organization. These are all not-for-profits, arms of what we do. And then there's Porter Hills Home Healthcare. So really the only thing that we don't do as an organization is kind of that daily non-clinical home care. We feel like our services are probably a little better suited for the more complex issues, since we have those often on our campuses, rather than just providing care. And people often ask, why do we do that? So let's get into the next piece, and that is, you may want to move to a retirement community, or you're thinking about moving to one. There's things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about ownership. We need to talk about 55 plus. We need to talk about, what does it cost to get in? Is this something that I'd really want to do? There's a lot of this that we need to talk about. So let's go through. So if you're talking about residential living, so let's say that you live in your home and you say, this home is too big. A lot of people live in the home that they raise their kids in. This is too big. I just need something a little bit smaller. You could look at going to a condo. Some condos you own, you may lease an apartment or whatever it may be. But some of these things you have to be careful because they're not age segregated. And so I know that doesn't necessarily mean a ton, except for when maybe your neighbors are, I don't know, younger, and they are up late at night and you hear their footsteps or whatever it may be. Or you might have parties here and there, whatever it may be. But it's similar to living in your own home. You might have neighbors that are younger that have parties as well. So you never know. But there are options out there for you that you'd be able to find other housing that would get you out of your house that is large and too big for you. But all these provide no services. And that's kind of the issue, is you're looking for some services. So a 55 plus community is age segregated. It is maintenance free, typically, except for your home itself. So like my mom lives in a 55 plus, and they're all a little different, but she's still responsible for the exterior of her home. So that's the roof and the siding and the concrete and all those kinds of things. Now they do the snow removal, they cut her grass, but they don't pick weeds or anything like that. So you're still responsible for a good portion of that work. Dining options. So her community does have a big clubhouse with a swimming pool and a fitness center, and there is a dining room in there. But that nothing is included there other than like being able to use the fitness center or the swimming pool. But there's no services, no housekeeping or, things like that, whatever it may be. And then obviously socialization and activities, because people are always looking to try to hang out together. Here's an interesting fact. In a 55 plus community in America, the average age of a 55 plus community is 82. The average age of a retirement community that has been up and running is about 84. So the age difference is not very much. So that's something else to look at too. Affordable housing. Some people may not have the means to try to move into a continuing care retirement community. It can be a little bit more expensive because services are included. So affordable housing is another big one. You have to be income qualified, 55 and over. It is maintenance free, does provide socialization. As an organization, I think Brio owns 6 or 7 affordable housing buildings. So they are around. Most of them are in Grand Rapids area. So but that is something that we definitely are involved in. So there's a resource there as well. And then really when you talk about services, there's a couple different ones here. So standalone communities. So what we mean by that is standalone independent living. So it's not a continuing care retirement community. It is just independent living. These communities are like the Cedars of Dexter, Cook Valley Estates, those types of things where it is designed for people who live independently. They're over 55. It's kind of like a 55 plus community, except, and this is the best part in my mind, no home maintenance. So like my mom, she wanted new countertops. I guess that's not a good example. She had a tankless hot water heater, and her hot water heater broke, and she had to have someone come in, fix her tankless hot water heater. That's a 55 plus community, right? Maintenance is not included. At a retirement community like we're talking about here, if the light bulb goes out over your sink, you can call environmental services and they come out and they'll change your light bulb. If your sink is clogged, they come and they unclog your sink. If your garbage disposal breaks, we fix it or replace it for free. If your refrigerator breaks, we replace it or fix it for free. All of that maintenance is all taken care of. And that is really a big, big, big feature to move into retirement communities. So continuing care retirement communities, like we talked about a little bit earlier, is independent living, assisted living, and memory care, because memory care is such a big portion of this, skilled nursing, long-term care, and then also rehab. So if you do have a hospital stay, that rehabilitation services are there. So I just had surgery on my arm. It's funny as I use that arm too. And so I had to go to occupational therapy 3 times a week for 6 weeks. That was a lot. I didn't really know where I was going to go. And so I just kind of picked a place and hoped that they were good. So with a continuing care retirement community, oftentimes you can get it right in your community and have that taken care of. So that's another bonus point there. So this is where this gets a little complicated, and we're going to talk about a few of these here. So where this gets complicated is not all of these contracts, there's 4 in total, are offered in Michigan. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to almost go backwards here. So making sure I can. Okay. So we talked about a rental, type D, A, B, C, D types. D is rental. It's not, it basically means it's independent living. Sometimes you'll see assisted living attached to the campus. You will not see skilled nursing. Typically, they don't get into that. Also, they are mostly for-profit organizations, not a not-for-profit organization. So they view it as really kind of a age-segregated apartment building. So nothing wrong with that. But if it's run with a different mission, there is something wrong with that. We believe that whatever money we make goes back into our organization and not into someone's pocket, and that's really important to us. But rental really means there's no entrance fee. Now, you do typically pay a little bit more per month to live in a rental, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So we're going to talk about type C, which is fee for service. Fee for service means the other contracts we're going to talk about, we have an entrance fee and a monthly service fee. The entrance fee, the best way I can explain it is this is a one-time fee that you pay. It is typically paid for with the sale of your home. So it's a transfer of assets. If your home sells, that you would transfer those assets into the community. The contracts that we have are either 50 or 90% refundable. And what that means is if you live here for 2 years or 10 years, you're going to get a refundable portion back of whatever money you put down. We use that entrance fee in very non-risky investments and pay off the debt of building the community or the debt of capital expenditures. So if we were going to replace all the carpet and paint or build an expansion or whatever it is, it doesn't come out of the current residents. There's no stipend or vote or anything like that. It comes out of really entrance fee dollars that have earned interest, and that allows us to maintain the building above and beyond day to day. So speaking of day to day, the monthly service fee is basically an operating cost for 1 month. The monthly service fee is what it costs us to run the organization for 1 month. And that is heat, air conditioning, gas, employees, HR and benefits, all those kinds of things, they all go along with that. So when we talk about a type C, what we mean by type C is called fee for service. And it means that when you move into independent living, I'm just going to pick a number here. Let's say you pay $3,000 a month. If you move to assisted living, you're going to pay a higher rate. If you move to skilled nursing, you're going to pay a higher rate. your fee changes according to what service you need, and that's where that fee for service line comes in. So the fee for service, by the way, type C is the predominant contract in, was that the right word? Predominant, dominant contract in the state of Michigan. A type B is something that's a little more elusive. It became a little bit bigger probably in the early 90s. It works just like a type C contract where you pay an entrance fee, you pay a monthly service fee. When you move into an additional level of care, you would actually get a discount, and it could be a 10% discount. You may get up to 100 days for free somewhere, something like that. But these are a little more few and far between. The other large type of contract that we see, I went backwards, is called a life care contract. Now, a life care contract is not in the state of Michigan, unfortunately. Many people say, oh, I've heard of this. It's in Florida. Florida has a ton of them. New York State, the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic. Actually, I guess the whole East Coast really, other than the Southeast, does not do life care contracts, but they're around the country. This is a really interesting concept. It's an entrance fee and monthly service fee. It is a little bit more expensive. Now, the reason it is more expensive is when you pay your entrance fee and you pay your monthly service fee. So let's say it's at $3,000 a month. If you move into assisted living, you only pay $3,000 a month. If you move into skilled nursing, you only pay $3,000 a month. Your monthly service fee does not change according to the level of care change that you have. So it is the most expensive, but also helps with that. One of the things I'd like to talk to you about is when you're talking about at-home services like Avenues program, the continuing care at home program mixed with a type, how do I get down? There we go. Mixed with a type C kind of gives you a life care contract. So one of the major aspects of the Avenues program is that if you go into long-term care, that it protects your assets. You have a flat rate that you would pay. So if you did move into, just picking a retirement community, Porter Hills Village, move into Porter Hills Village, get an at-home program contract, because it's fee for service, you'd have to pay more when you go into assisted living or skilled nursing. Because of the Avenues program, you would pay a standard rate into each one. And so that definitely helps protect your assets against long-term care. So it's funny because people think that they actually compete with each other, where the at-home program is designed to keep you at home. Yes, it is designed to keep you at home. Whether that home is in an apartment, in a 55+ community, your current home, or if it is at a retirement community, it could help protect your assets. They really go hand in hand. And so it's an interesting concept. So definitely something to talk about. Okay, we got a question coming through. I figured I'd answer that now. What happens to a CCRC independent living facility if occupancy falls and cannot be restored to a high level? That's a really good question. So basically what this person is asking, it's hard to not give names. What this person is asking is what happens if we can't fill the building? If we can't fill the building as a not-for-profit organization, we have a couple different triggers that get pulled. One of the first ones is we would not meet our covenant, and our covenants mean that it's our bonds. So as a not-for-profit organization, we borrow money to pay off the debt of building a community. If we're not having enough people moving in, chances are we can't afford to pay our bond payments. And so that we are forced then to have consultants come in and help us figure out what's going on to make sure that it's working and going through. Now, there are some organizations that don't have the finances to keep things fresh, to do capital expenditures like paint and carpet and restaurants and all those types of things. They're the ones that really kind of struggle with census and occupancy. I can tell you none of our campuses struggle with the census. In my past life, remember I told you I was a consultant, this is what I did. Is so a lot of times I was called in by the bank and said, hey, they're having occupancy issues. What can we do? And it was my job to go in there to make sure that we were implementing strategies to bring them back up the census. All right, so here's another question. We live in Ann Arbor. Is there an Avenues program here, or is it only available in Grand Rapids? All right, I'm going to tell you a little secret. One, there is no Avenues program on the east side of the state. Here's the secret, yet. We do and have been looking at opening an at-home program on the east side of the state. So that's definitely something that's big. There is one that is available. It is in Scioto Township. I believe it's owned by, oh man, name is escaping me now. I can't remember the name of the program. Evangelical Homes, I think is the name of it. I don't know. There's another person on here. Her name is Natalie, and Natalie usually tells me what the answers are when I can't remember stuff. So I apologize for that. But there is one on the east side. All right, we're going to move on. Oh, I didn't pay attention. We have a not-for-profit versus for-profit slide. And so I think I went over this enough that you might feel comfortable with the not-for-profit and for-profit advantage. The one thing that I do really want to stress, though, is a not-for-profit pays their staff a little bit better, has better staff longevity, better benefits, and they stay longer. We don't have a lot of people that leave because they're not paid well, or they think they're going to make more money somewhere else, or their benefits are going to be better somewhere else. We pay probably the best. Not-for-profits in general do, because we don't have the overhead of paying off shareholders. And so the money stays within the organization. I can tell you during COVID specifically, when people were leaving one job to go to another because they were getting sign-on bonuses, we were giving people stay bonuses. We did that for 2 years, and it came out to the tune of about $15 million. I'm probably wrong on that number. It might be $12 million that we gave to our team members to make sure that they stayed. So it kind of goes back to the question here of, if occupancy fails, what do you do? We put money back into the community, and we were making sure that we kept all of our team members, we call our employees team members, keeping all of our team members on the campus and working during COVID and making sure that they were taken care of, as well as everyone that depended on us for their care. And that was important enough for us to put our money where our mouth is. All right, so when you talk about what is right for you, you know what just popped in my head? One thing that I did not cover with you is, why do people make the decision? People say to me all the time, when they ask me, they say, what do you do? I say, I work in retirement communities, and my job is to get people to raise their hand and say, I want more information about that. That sounds interesting to me. And then they come in, and it's my job to make sure that they're getting the information that they're looking for, and teach the sales team to give you the resources that they need, and that kind of thing. But people always say, when should I make this decision? I can tell you, unfortunately, it is different for everyone. I have talked to people that said, this one guy was great. He was the best. He had lived on a couple of acres of land, bought the house in a retirement, loved cutting the grass, that kind of thing. But as he got older, things just got harder and harder. And his lawn tractor broke. And he said, I went to it was a Cub Cadet dealer, I think it was. And he went there and he said, hey, did you know that these things are like $4,000? And I said, yeah, I did know that that's why I have a push mower. And he said, here's the thing. I don't even like cutting the grass anymore. Why would I spend $4,000 on a lawnmower? I'm getting out of this place. I don't want to do this maintenance anymore. That was his straw that broke the camel's back. Other people, it is other home maintenance issues. A lot of times it's health issues. What I've seen a lot more in my career as I'm getting older now is I'm seeing that people are saying, my parents lived in a retirement community and they really liked it, and so I'm looking at it as well. Or they said, my parents became ill and did not know where to go. I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know where to get care. I didn't know who to trust. And I'm not doing that to my kids. And so I think that's really sincere and genuine that someone would want to do that for their children. It is a gift to their children. And we do tell people that when you make this decision to move into a retirement community, it's a gift to your children. By you doing all the research, if you want to stay home, by looking into home care agencies and what is hospice and all those types of things. Do you need a stair lift to go up the stairs? Do you need a chair? Do you need to get the bathrooms redone? Oh my Lord, can't think of the word, refurbished, renovated. There we go. If you want to get the kitchen renovated, all of those things to try to make your home maintenance free, you're going to want to do that now. It's not going to be easier in 5 years from now. I can tell you, I just sold a home recently and I painted the whole house, and then I had to sell the house. And I said, why didn't I paint this house earlier so then I could enjoy it? And so I kind of view that as the same thing as, you're going to renovate this kitchen or bathrooms because you have to sell the house. Why not renovate it now and enjoy it? And hey, by the way, in your retirement, you won't have to do work to it. But some big things, budget. Here's another really interesting fact. People think this is a very rational decision, and a rational decision. My brother's a CPA. I can see my brother getting, a spreadsheet out and saying, well, I get this many meals here. I get housekeeping here. I get transportation here. I get this here. And this is what it costs. And this is the square footage of my apartment. And this is the cost per square foot. And it's cheaper than this place. So I'm going to this place. That's very interesting and well and good. But this is a 25% rational decision, because you have to be able to afford it and you want to make sure that they have the services and amenities that you're looking for. But at the end of the day, it's an emotional decision, because just because it's the cheapest or whatever fancy floats your boat may not mean that it's the right thing for you. Some people walk into retirement communities and go, I feel like this is a hotel. I don't want to live here. And some people walk into some retirement communities and go, feels just like home. This is exactly where I want to live. I don't want anything too pretentious or fancy. I don't want marble on the walls. This feels right to me. It has to feel good. Well, that's emotional. That's not rational. Lifestyle and recreation, you got to know what you're looking for. So if you're a swimmer, you're going to want to go someplace that has a pool. If you're into wellness and fitness, you're going to want to go someplace that either has classes. You might want those classes included. I attend fitness classes. I go to a gym that is a little bit more expensive, probably a lot more expensive, because classes are included and it holds me accountable to go to the class. So if I have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, I have to be there. I'm going to miss my class. And so things like that hold people accountable and entice people to do more wellness activities and even just fitness classes. But having that being included is a really big perk for those folks as well. Location, obviously, anybody who's a real estate agent, shoot, even if you're not a real estate agent, what do they always say? Location, location, location. So you just always want to make sure that you're in a location that meets and suits your needs, but also your kids' needs. That's always another question I get is, my kids live in California. I'm thinking about moving to California. What I tell people is, here's what I've seen in my career. I have seen people leave a place where they lived. So if you're born and raised in Michigan or lived in Michigan or raised your kids in Michigan, been here a long time, and your kids upped and moved to California, and you go and follow them, they may up and move again. And so if they get a better job offer in North Carolina, they go move to North Carolina, and now you're 90 years old and you're sitting here saying, well, I moved here for them and now they're moving to North Carolina. What am I going to do now? Am I going to go move to North Carolina? No, you're 90 years old. It's going to be too hard. So be careful with that. And then now it's funny, because when I first started my career, people would say, well, I want to live with my kids. And that was like a fairly regular thing to do. Now, when I say, hey, do you want to live with your kids? Everybody just kind of laughs at me. So I don't even talk about that anymore, because people don't live with their kids anymore. I don't know if they don't want to live with their kids or the kids don't want them to live with them. Either way, don't know. But honestly, I've also seen that when people do live with their kids, they become the nanny, they become the housekeeper, and they become the head chef. So your retirement years are not always as retirement-y as you would think, unless you're looking into doing those things. But a lot of times people are looking at retirement communities because they don't want to do those things anymore. And then, we're talking about care needs and peace of mind. So if you do have issues, if you've had family concerns of family illnesses or whatever it may be, an example, I have a stage 1 melanoma. My grandfather died of skin cancer. I am about as Irish as I could be. I got a red beard. I got pasty pale skin. I go to the dermatologist every 6 months. I know that I have to really be careful with my skin, and it's a hereditary issue that I have. Some people have hereditary issues like Alzheimer's or dementia or knee replacements, hip replacements, whatever it may be. All of those things are going to make living at home harder. And so it's important to figure out where you're going to go for some of those things. And so those are important pieces there. One of the things I wanted to cover with you before we end here is, this is kind of the gamut of what the organization, BRIO as an organization, does for communities here. So Chelsea Retirement Community in Chelsea, Michigan, which is outside of Ann Arbor. Porter Hills, which is in Grand Rapids, Porter Hills Village, sorry, Cook Valley Estates, which is in Grand Rapids, the Cedars of Dexter, which is in Dexter, Michigan, really cute little place. Meadowlark Retirement Village is in Sparta, also a really cute little place. This goes back to like, where do you want to live? Do you want to live someplace that's Cedars of Dexter, I think, is 60 houses. It's fairly small. Someplace like Chelsea Retirement Community, there's over 100. And so, you know, what size community do you want to live in? And then we have this little guide here or key that tells you what's there: independent living, assisted living, memory support, long-term skilled nursing, short-term inpatient rehab. So hopefully everybody can see this, so I don't have to walk through it. All right, so I think that is the end here. I'm going to leave this up for you though for a second, and then I'll switch it down and answer some questions here. Oh, somebody help me. I'm not allowed to say your name, but I thank you, ma'am. The name of the place that offers the at-home program in Scioto Township, it's called Life Choices. But I don't remember, is it Evangelical Homes that does it? I think it is, but the name of the program is Life Choices. Do you have an age and place programs at your communities? I guess all of our communities, we consider them age at home. We allow people to make those decisions on their own. I think that's kind of funny that we say we allow people, we encourage people to make those decisions on their own. We, at the large communities, we have transitions coordinators. That name is a little harsh to a degree, because it's not just to help folks through a transition of independent living to assisted living or assisted living to skilled. It's also, if you are having knee surgery or hip surgery or whatever it may be, you can talk to that person about your health concerns, and they'll help set you up with some rehab services, and then say, okay, you probably won't be able to go back to your apartment right away, so why don't we go set up assisted living for a little bit, and then you can come back. But those people help you do that. And we do encourage aging in place. And I think the big part of that is that we take care of everything. So you can do whatever you want. One thing I do want to share. Earlier, I said people typically, well, what did I say? We want people to live longer in their homes, right? And more independent. People that move into retirement communities typically live 5 to 7 years longer than they would independently than they would in their own home. The reason for that is, if you think about it from just a risk standpoint, if you live at home and it's snowing out, it's snowing today here in the Ann Arbor area, the roads were a little slippery this morning. If you didn't have groceries and you needed to go out, you have to go out and get them. If you had a doctor's appointment, you have to go out to go to the doctor's appointment. And when you do that, there's risk involved. What if I fall? What if I get in a car accident? What if I slip? Whatever it may be. When you live in a retirement community, most of those things are already in the retirement community. So when it snows out, you go, yeah, I'm not putting a jacket on today, and you're limiting your risk. There's also limiting the amount of risk that you have with someone coming into your home to do work or repair. Is the roof leaking? Is the roof too old? What do I need to do with this? I got to bring somebody in. I got to get this taken care of. All the worry that goes along with that takes its toll. I am a worrier. Trust me, it has taken a toll on my life, even at the ripe old age of 48 over here. And so all of those pieces are part of that. All right. Okay, not included on there is AH, affordable housing. Affordable housing is on there, but I'm not sure it's not on this list. So you're right on that one. And then also, if you contact any of us, so why don't we go down here now? If you contact anybody here, everybody here can help you if you're looking for affordable housing or whatever that may be. Oh, and there's my friend Natalie. Remember I told you that there's always someone here that always tells me the names. It is Evangelical on the east side of the state. Thank you, Natalie. Oh, also, another question here is, do you have a benevolent care program? Very, very good question. What does benevolent care mean? And this is another big not-for-profit advantage. Benevolent care means that if you ever deplete your assets due to no fault of your own, and you live in our community, you will never be asked to leave. I can tell you personally, I give money to the foundation every single paycheck to try to help with the benevolent care program. We want to make sure that anyone that ever lives in our communities and outlives their assets, that they're never asked to leave. And I believe in that so much. I put my money where my mouth is, and I pay money towards that every single time. There's financial programs there that are in place to help us figure out how much it's going to cost for you to live in a community. We do a very free financial analysis to let you know, like, we work with an actuarial company. Now, only your salesperson knows that, and you know that, but you list all your assets and all that kind of stuff and your age. And we run an actuarial study on you, and it tells you how old, what's your life expectancy, with your assets, when would you probably start to need assistance? How much assistance would you need in your lifetime? All those things, we share that with you. Because that's such a big part of making the decision is budget, right? That was the number one thing on the screen was budget. So those are there to help you as well. Okay, here we go. We got another one here. Oh, this is a great question. I have been on the wait list at Chelsea Retirement Community for almost 2 years, and I am currently 57 on the wait list for a 2-bedroom in independent living. Is this normal for most independent living facilities? You use the F word. We don't call them facilities. We say communities, but that's okay. I'll let you go on this one. Wait lists are very, very interesting. The more specific you are about being on someone's wait list is the less likelihood that it is going to happen quickly. So for Chelsea Retirement Community, we built the Prairie Cottages right when I first started. I think they were almost halfway done. So that was 7 or 8 years ago. So typically when they are built, the life expectancy for someone to move into a cottage at that time is between 8 and 12 years. So we've had very, very little turnover at the cottages over the last 7 years. So that said, we will probably, just likelihood of nature, have more turnover in the coming years. But yeah, it can be common to be on the wait list for a longer period of time. One of the things I tell people is that if you moved into another apartment, usually apartments, there's more of them, so I say that, move into an apartment, and then if something became available later, you'd be able to transfer over later. And if you live in the community, you get primary choice over someone from the outside. So if you're 57 on the list, but you live at one of the apartments, when a house opens up, you would have priority access to that as well. Okay. All right. So I got a question here about a phone number. So there's a discrepancy on the Porter Hills Village phone number. Before everyone picks up the phone, the last digits are 2214, not 2241. So I blame myself for that. Sometimes I mix up numbers and I apologize. 2241. The Porter Hills difference at mybrio.org does still apply. So that's fine. All right. Does anybody else have any questions, any feedback, anything coming out here? We had a great crowd. Thank you very much for attending. I hope this was not only entertaining, but also educational as well. All right, I'm just going to wait 1 second here to see if we get any more questions. Thank you again. I want to thank you and also congratulate you that you have taken one of the first steps to looking at a retirement community. That is really a big step for a lot of people, that it's scary sometimes to think about what's out there that we don't know, but we're hoping. This was very nice. Thank you. Oh, and that person is the one that told me the name Life Choices. So I'm not allowed to say your name, but thank you very, very much. And then I got another thank you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And if you need anything, call these numbers. Take care. Bye.